Hi everyone. I want to show another technique in glazing options. And I have wax resist here, and I want to show you this because there's actually so many things you can do with it. But during one of my videos and showing how to create the T-bowl, I did some highlights of my stamp using underglazes, orange and white underglaze. And it shows off the stamp. It kind of reminds me of a retro 60s kind of stamp. And using the orange and white kind of even more reminds me of that. And I was thinking, how am I going to glaze this? And I want to keep this the way it is. I don't want to lose this under a color and have something just kind of go over it. So what can I do? Well, wax resist is something that I use sometimes for the bases of my pieces when I'm doing a lot, like if I have a foot. Sometimes if I need to do a design that I've hand painted myself, I've used the resist. But in this case, I'm going to take my stamped design that I've used the orange and the white on, and I'm going to touch it with some of the wax resist. And what I've got here is some soapy water. I just put some Dawn in a little bit of water. That's going to keep the brush from getting ruined from the wax because this wax is pretty strong. It's meant to prevent glaze from adhering to your piece. So when I use this, I want to be extra careful. I've got a film on the top here. Let's get that off. I want to be careful not to get it on any other piece, any other part of my piece than where I want it. As far as I've ever had any luck with when I've gotten it on different parts is I have to refire the piece because it won't scrub off. You'll end up ruining your piece. So the soapy water prevents the brush from getting ruined, and I had to mix this up, shake it up, and I want to just take a finer brush. Obviously, we're not going to be using our big brushes we glaze with. And I'm just going to put this green looking wax. This helps you see where you're putting it. I'm going to touch the orange and the white with this wax. And you can just a little at a time. See that I don't want it to run just yet or at all. And it's going to cover it. I don't need any more than one coat. And just because I can still see some of the color through, it's okay. I know it's going to resist. So everywhere this wax goes, the glaze will not stick. And I'm being very careful not to get it anywhere else on my piece. And I'm going to have to make a decision too. I'm using red clay here. I've got my T-bowl in red, as you guys do. And I'm going to have to make the decision on what color to use, knowing that my orange and my white is going to still pop. Thing I love about a red-bodied clay is I think it tends to make glazes look richer. Sometimes you have to be careful because if you don't put enough coats, especially with the red, some glazes just end up looking clear because the red is too intense and you don't see the pigment in the glazes. And I definitely think, especially Amico, that some glazes that they make are formulated for the red clay body, and they are the best. So that's it. It doesn't look like much. This is a technique. This is something you can think about, because when you do make the decision to use underglazes and you spend the time doing detail work, and I'm going to show you another piece here that I'm going to have to use the wax resist on is this. Last semester, I and my Pottery 2 class discussed using underglazes for decorative purposes. Now, this I freehand, but I freehand leaves and flowers a lot. But you can also make your own stencils by using rulers and creating geometrical designs. And when you do this kind of work on a piece, now this is fired, this is ready to glaze. And when you have the underglaze fired into your piece, I can't rub this off or scratch it off. It becomes one with the piece. Now I could use the wax resist as a technique to keep this safe from being clouded by any other glaze that I use on it. So now I could, you know, glaze this all yellow and all my design will stay intact in the same color that you see here. And that's going to happen because I'm going to add the wax. And the wax is going to protect all this from the glaze. And I can just go around and apply it like so. And I really don't have much on this brush, and I'm glad because I don't want it to run. You know, if this wax ran straight down, I'd have to fire the whole piece before I could even glaze it again because I'd be stuck with that permanent wax. It's pretty messy, but definitely doable and definitely worth the time. Thank you guys.